Welcome back to the Political Machine Podcast. I'm your host, Sanchez, and in this episode, I'm joined once again by Greg Brockhouse and Sakib Shaikh as we dig into the realities of San Antonio's political and economic landscape. We take a hard look at the past 8 years under the previous mayor, years marked by stagnant growth, missed opportunities, and the quiet departure of major companies that once called this city home. We also explore how politics, power, and culture intersect, from the widening divide in public trust to the shifting definition of community leadership. This is a deep conversation about where San Antonio stands today and where it's headed if real change doesn't happen soon. The last time we spoke was just before early voting. Since then, the Spurs have poured nearly $2 million into advertising to promote the new arena. For those not familiar with public finance, this might sound like a good deal, but the truth is many of those pushing hardest for the arena have conflicting interests. If you're feeling like you don't know who to trust, you're not alone. But here's the reality. Anyone telling you that the venue tax can only be used for arenas and event spaces being pitched today is lying to you. Don't take my word for it. Look it up for yourself. Bear.org, community venues. The proof is right there, showing how the tax has been and can continue to be used. There's one piece of advice that I could offer. It's this. Pay attention to what I mean when I say that the current negotiations would benefit from competition. Real competition, yes, from other billionaires and investment groups willing to challenge the status quo of San Antonio. And the only way that that's done is if this gets voted down and time is bought. Now, as you've seen, millions have already been funneled into this machine over the past week. And with that, the odds of this passing only increases. That's just statistics. More ad dollars means more influence, especially when local influencers are telling you to vote yes in exchange for a chance to win Spurs tickets. Anyways, I digress. Let's get into it. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and we'll see you on the next one. All right, we're gold. All right, guys, welcome back. Welcome back. It's good to have you guys back. It's good to get on the mic.
Last week was fun.
Last week was fun. I think this is going to turn into a weekly routine as I see it, but I enjoy it. I like it. I like the company. This is something I've been meaning to do, so it's nice. It's nice to be on the mic again. I want to introduce this episode again, episode 2 of Political Machine. Small introductions. Some people hop on the podcast, episode 2, and they're like, well, we don't know these people. To introduce myself, I'm Sanchez. Again, I manage Portfolio Capital Management, investment firm here in town. Ran for mayor this past year. It's probably the last time I'll say that. The next time I'm only introducing myself as an investment manager, but that's me in a nutshell.
I'm getting a lot of notoriety for my run, so I think I'll keep talking about that. Sakib Shaikh ran for City Council District 8, missed the runoff by 77 votes. Business owner, community advocate, and just all around like to be involved in stuff.
All right, and I'm Greg Brockhouse, former council member here in San Antonio, just a candidate, political consultant, enjoyed just kind of getting my hands into, well, I think literally everything. So I wish I used to be in the banking business, mortgage banking, but once I got into politics, I had to find other things to feed my habits. So it ended up being that I'm now just to kind of consult on work and try to make a buck where I can, but stay involved in the community, and I like to be an advocate for all things
Banking sounds
San Antonio.
boring, dude.
Yeah, it's boring.
How did you do that?
I can't go back to it. I actually tried to go back to it after I got off the council, and I just said, I think I'm just going to go be a loan officer. Like, I think I just want to do mortgage loans again, because I used to crush it, man. My teams would crush it.
Yeah. I
went back after years being out, and I did one loan, and I'm like, yeah, I'm never going to do this again. Like, this is, I can't go back behind a desk. So that's what brings me here today.
And that's once I got into real estate, I was like, I'm done. I'm done being behind a desk. I'm done like working for someone else.
I can't do it.
Yeah, even if it's less work, less money, it's like.
Would you catch yourself like being like when you were behind a desk? Because this is what I went through, and I went from job to job to job. You're in there, you're like month 2, month 3, month 6, 1 year in, and you're like, I'm going to lose my mind. And then you dip? Or were you one of those that as soon as you got to the back of the desk, you're like, I can't do this?
Dude, it didn't take more than a few weeks for me to see this in myself. I can't sit still.
I thought I was bad.
No, I can't sit still. It's I'll never admit this to my family, but it's a little bit of ADHD, and mostly like I'm just always thinking of other things.
Hopefully they don't listen to this because you just said you.
Hopefully not, because they accuse me of having.
Hey man, that doesn't
ADHD.
bode well for the conversation if our own family won't listen to us.
No, it's because I always get accused of having ADHD, and I always defend myself. But there may be something to it. Like I can't sit still. I'm always thinking about other things to do.
Speaking of ADHD, you ever been diagnosed or no?
No, I probably don't, but
Would
maybe,
you ever like
maybe I do.
go to a doctor to get diagnosed?
If I was forced.
I know we spoke about this off the mic a little bit a while ago, but yeah, I have a tendency to do certain things, and I get accused of having ADHD or autism. I haven't been diagnosed, and I don't think I'll go to a doctor, much like you.
I'm high functioning, so it's like, what's the
Right? It works for me. Like I'm still able to make money. I'm still able to hang out with friends and be normal semi.
Yeah.
I just want to be very careful because this is recorded about the tism jokes. I'm really holding back right now. Like, yeah, I was about to say you were touched with the tism, and that could get me in a lot of trouble.
I mean, look, it's reality. If we do certain things and we know that we potentially have some type of neurological tendency, then that's the reality. Nobody lives in our shoes.
Yeah, man. And I like my son, he had ADHD. With hyperactivity, and he was diagnosed and lived his life like that. So I'll speak to it, and I think I've earned a little street cred to say, make a couple jokes here or there, because it's the jokes that got us through the years. My wife and I got us through the years of homework. Like I basically had to go through high school again. Every night we're sitting down just trying to keep him focused on it. And now he's an army dude, man. He's deployed over in Korea, and there's not a wall that guy won't go through. So everybody has something for their life. Everybody's got a plan for it. So even though it was like literally a daily fight just to get the kid to focus on the basic stuff and his aggression, all these other things that come with with ADHD, these other things, boy, that dude, man, he was cut from the mold for the army. So he's out there kicking it, making it happen. So it's all worth it, man. And I laugh about those days now, but what got us through it was just making jokes, man.
Yeah, dude.
Which it seems like America or the world itself, you can't joke about anything anymore, but I refuse to fall into that trap.
It depends on who's making the joke.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, true.
Well, but nowadays, everybody gets their feelings hurt. You can't take a joke on anything. Like I don't know, man. I guess it just depends on where your political party is, what your belief is, your faith. Now, everything's a mess. So.
Who shouldn't make the joke, Sakib?
So let's take like autism, for example.
Yeah.
Someone who looks down on autistic people shouldn't make jokes
for
about
sure.
autism.
You shouldn't be joking. Well, that's not a joke in that case, right? Because if you look down on people with autism and you're making a joke about autism, then you're more so taking a jab.
Well, right. And then they kind of defend themselves by saying, I was just joking. And then they'll go into that cancel culture, fake thing.
Fake
outrage.
I'm going to push back a little bit on that, man.
Yeah,
like, I think you have to be able to joke about stuff.
Even if you look down on it.
Well, there's a difference between joking about it to cope
Yeah.
and looking down on it. Now, are there assholes out there who are going to ridicule and make fun of autistic or ADHD children or somebody or color joke? Sure. I mean, there's people. Then you look at people who do it for social justice, right? You got the Dave Chappelle's of the world, people who make points with humor that you can't say these things in anywhere in the world but on a stage, or you're sitting there and you're living in the middle of it, right? Let's say you're living in the middle of ADHD or you have an autistic child or someone on the spectrum, whatever. And the only way you cope with or deal with it is humor. Like the only way you can is humor. So I just think we got to be very careful about, and that's when people used to get canceled. I'm very thankful we're out of this cancel culture now.
I hope we're out. I don't know if we're
it may come back in the future, right? Let's say that actually this is a political issue, right? So, if whoever ends up in the White House or the political winds are going to change in another 8 to 10 or 12 years, right? Yeah, we may end up back at those things, but I think we got so far into this cancel world where you can't. What was it the other day? I was reading about Dax Shepard and his wife. She made a joke about their anniversary, and she's like, "Thankful you didn't kill me," right? Or 15 years, and she caught all this hell for it. She's catching all this hell. Yeah, oh yeah. And Kristen Bell, I think is her name.
Yeah, Christian Bale.
Kristen. No, yeah, he's not married to Christian Bale. So I don't know. She caught all this hell about saying that she didn't murder him, and because of domestic violence out in the world, right? And she made this joke on her Instagram page, and is her way of telling her. She's got a very dark sense of humor.
Yeah.
And boy, half that feed was trashing her. It's all over the national news right now. I'm kind of a bit of a Hollywood junkie. I know that's ridiculous to say out loud, but I like
Brockhouse,
there's two things.
Junkie.
I like Hollywood gossip and royal gossip. I don't know why I'm really into this Meghan Markle thing.
You're more liberal than we thought.
Yeah, man. Hey, man, calm down. But anyways, my point, I'm going to change the subject fast, but my point is that the political winds have changed. So now we're reversing some of these things. and we're literally canceling the cancelers now. So, which I think is pretty cool.
I love it.
But no, I'm just kidding. I don't. I think anybody should be able to say whatever they want, and just be very careful about. There's a line clearly, but I just think you have to be careful because some people use humor to cope with stuff, man.
Truth.
And it's more often than not, I think that's what it is, right? It's dark humor, and like if somebody saw, I always tell this to people, man. We're getting all upset about people's text message threads, and you're texting this out. Boy, if somebody found the bro text messages on my phone, we're all canceled. Like there's not a one of us that's going to survive. Like
so the reference you're making, though, I would push back. I don't think we would find the worst of the worst. It doesn't come close to what we found of those the young Republican group that you're referencing.
Oh, that's just
Like
stupidity.
So it's a group of young Republicans. It's like an organization called Young Republicans. Some of their text messages were leaked, and they're Nazis, like actual admitted Nazis.
They're not joking.
They're they're joking. They're not.
That's what I was going to say.
They're not Nazis.
No.
Okay, so I got to understand what makes you think that they're Nazis because of the text messages.
Maybe one or two of them are shit. I don't know.
They're praising Hitler. They're saying he was right.
But that doesn't mean you're Nazi.
Well, let's take.
What does it mean?
The bro text, and not everybody's a bro, right?
I wish they would come on here so I could dissect. Okay,
yeah,
why
but
are you praising Hitler?
They've gone into hiding. Like the Republican Party has distanced themselves from them.
These kids are idiots. I mean, my bro text thing. No one's on there praising Hitler. Like, right. I mean, this is not. I mean, there's a level of stupidity. Does it mean they're stark raving Nazis who want to bring back the what was that thing, the goose step and all this other stuff, and they want to bring back, no, I mean, none of this stuff, I don't know. We don't know these people. They're idiots. They need to go away. They're stupid. They got caught. It's ridiculous. But most of these bro texts, like the guy text streams, I mean, the stuff gets pretty wild. And by the way, I wouldn't want to see a woman's group text thread either, because God knows what that's going to look like, right? But I think.
Do you think you're downplaying it a little?
Yeah, I'm absolutely downplaying it because I think it's stupid. And they just and we don't really know what their intention. The fact that the young Republicans are a bunch of Nazis, I think that fits a narrative that you're going for. Let's take a look what's happening.
Fit a narrative, but it merits a conversation.
Well, look what's happening in Virginia.
Them.
Well, let's take a look what's happening in Virginia, right? The Virginia governor's race. You got two women running for the governorship. The attorney general was text messaging threads, texting friends and family and colleagues that we should murder Republicans. We should put bullets in the heads of Republican children, of his opponents. The Democrat nominee stood up there and would not say
this is a real story.
Okay, there's two women running for governor of Virginia. One, the Republican is Winsome Sears. The Democrat, I believe her name is Abigail Spanberger, I think. The guy running for attorney general on the same ticket was endorsed by the Democrat. His name is Jay Jones or something like that. Anyways, he was uncovered his text message streams about putting bullets in the head of his Republican opponent's children, killing their families. And
that's a little dark.
And they would, yes. So there's levels right here, right? The Democrat was asked during a debate by the Republican candidate, do you denounce and will you remove your endorsement of this candidate? She refused. Didn't answer. Said, no, she will not. The entire Democrat Party is continuing to stand behind this man who said he would murder the children of his opponent. Literally said, put bullets in their heads. Now, you never heard about this?
No, man. This is new to me.
Google it. I swear, it's all over the national news.
That is nuts.
Yeah.
It's okay. So one thing, it's going to be hard for me to comment because I actually don't know.
No.
I think it a joke.
Is it a joke? I think it was in poor taste. And I think people get carried away on text messages, and somebody always tries to one up the other. Because here's the hardcore truth: are there racist Nazis out there? Absolutely,
absolutely, yeah.
Most of the time, these text threads, what happens is people become just like you become a keyboard warrior on your desktop, right? You tend to have the courage to say whatever the hell you want, and you think it's a safe space to just go and text these memes or these dirty pictures or whatever. You're having fun, right? You think it's funny, and we get sucked up in that because there's no accountability for it because you think it's your buddies, right? And you end up going.
You piss your buddy off.
You end up going too far, and then your buddy may decide, I think you've gone too far there, and I'm going to share this with somebody else. And nothing is sacred, right? Like if you put it on the text or in the ether world out there, right? You put it in the sphere, the potential is going to get shared.
I think there's a difference. Now, you can correct me if I'm saying something incorrect about the facts of this story, but there's a difference when there's like a history of violent acts coming out of like an organized group, right? Or even violent rhetoric coming out of this group, the Democratic Party. Now, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm not a defender of the Democratic Party. I have tremendous issue, and I'll be caught dead defending them. I'll never be caught dead defending them. But there is like a racial problem in the Republican Party. It's in both parties.
Both,
Let
yeah,
me
I was
be
going to
fair.
say both sides.
It is in both, and yeah. But in the Republican Party, it's a bit more like 1960s ish, whereas in the Democratic side, it's more passive aggressive.
Well, I feel like in the Democrat Party, you can't be a confident male.
So the racial issue that I find in the Democratic Party is that they like tokenism. They like the idea of being able to put a minority on a poster, but they're resistant. I mean, take Zoran Mamdani's campaign. I mean, the Democratic establishment has not gotten behind the Democratic nominee. So that's a separate thing, right? But there's a history in the Republican Party that's a bit more stark when it comes to issues of race. And so if text messages get uncovered, yeah, no. I know you.
I'm kidding.
I'm kidding.
I'm kidding. I see the flames in your eyes right now, man.
Flames.
If you're thinking about like the Democratic Party and their role in like segregation and advocating against the Civil Rights Act during that time, yeah, that's true. But we know that the ideology.
Let's just glaze over the fact that it was the Democrats that were responsible for all of that. But that's basically what you just said. Oh yeah, this happened.
It's not glazing, but we know that the ideologies of the parties have completely switched.
Right, but
so I mean,
to just say like, the 1960s, a little something happened where all the Democrats were doing. The Democrats were the Ku Klux Klan.
But
let's just look past that.
But those Democrats are basically now all Republicans, and I'm not saying all Republican voters are like this. Not even close. Nothing like that. But my point is that when there's a history of this kind of rhetoric, and then there's accusations from the opposition, like, guys, you guys are secretly, you're saying one thing, but what you mean is something else. And then text messages come out that confirm.
Or that confirm with the Republican Party. Confirms that there's three or four idiots in the world.
My point is, if you read other people's text messages within the Republican Party, you're going to find more text messages like this. If you read Steve Bannon's,
you're going to find that in every culture,
you'll find something.
Every
obscene.
Party.
I don't think it's
everywhere.
I don't think it's party specific. I'll be very honest with you. I don't think it's party specific. My viewpoint is that I do believe that both parties are effed up in some sense because they have their own people who have gone through their own experiences and have molded their style of thinking. Now, who they curate that thinking or that subject to, I think it falls down to who they want to entertain. Yeah. So in the instance of like the Democrat Party right now, the Democrat Party, they will say that the administration currently has a narrative that pushes against a lot of what we've seen when it comes to like equal rights and such. So the Democrat Party is going to try to expose that. I don't know if I'm making sense.
No, you're not.
Long story.
I'm kidding. I got lost.
You're making. I got lost in the thought.
You're thinking out loud. It's okay.
I think they both pander to who their voting base is, and they're both wrong.
Yeah. So
in some form of way.
I heard somebody the other day. I was listening. I am a minority, right? So I'm not.
Don't mind me. I'm going to turn on this.
Well, my name is Brockhouse, right? I'm just as much on Arocha. My family is a descendant from the Canary Islanders. Our family's history in San Antonio is lengthy. So there's a lot of there. I don't subscribe to the saying that I'm just this white guy because my last name is Brockhouse and look on a sheet of paper like I fit into a particular mold. But so you got to be very careful.
Me, dude.
I think you can speak to I can speak to this minority piece, and it freaks people out when I tell them in politics that I'm actually when I meet people and I tell them I'm actually from the South Side, where my family comes from. People freak out and they tend to open a door for people. I don't believe people are inherently racist. Most are not. Are there racist Nazis out there? Are these punks from the Republican Party need to go away? Absolutely. But this is what I read. I heard it. I can't remember. Somebody was talking to Bill Maher. I don't remember the gentleman's name. And I got to find this. I got to share this with you guys. And his point was this. And he was a black man. And his point was, look, over the years, you said a little bit earlier about demonizing masculinity in men, right? That's exactly what the Democrat Party has done.
That's what I feel like.
They blur lines of gender and race. They do all these things to control. I think the Democrat Party specifically and that's why they got the lowest approval rating in their history right now. When you can't muscle up 19% of the public to believe in you, you got real problems, right? So, but what has happened is over this last decade, maybe 15 years, is that every of these groups started organizing, right? The African Americans, the LGBTQ folks, and they're all pushing their agendas, right? They're all beginning their organization. They're radicalizing in some extents. They're becoming very aggressive, and they're winning. They're winning elections. They're winning the issues. Win, win, win. And over the course of that time, what has happened is men and white people began to get marginalized, right? You are guilty of sin just because you're white. Like you carry the brunt and the history of all this because you're white. And this man was saying, was very intelligent. He said, look, it was so smart. He goes, look, at what point did you not think the white people weren't going to return and mobilize themselves? They were going to. Like, we can't have Black History Month and this month and LGBT Pride Month and all these other things, and the white people get nothing. At some point, the white people were going to turn around, organize, and regain control as well to put themselves in a position of equality or equity with these other organizations. And that's what has occurred over the last couple of years, is that white America has began the organization in reverse now and is starting to return the accountability. And I'm not saying it's right,
you know
wrong,
what
or
the counter argument to that is, right? Because I have many friends on both sides, and always the counter argument was, well, we're the ones who have always been oppressed. Like they're saying, like
no, fair point. The guy's point wasn't that the oppression didn't exist. The point was that the white America was going to mobilize again. They were going to return with the ballot box and the vote. And they were going to return, and at some point, this cancel culture, being woke, was going to go too far, as it did, extended too far, and then that organized group, the Republican Party, right, these folks are going to come around and regain the power again. And I always tell my Republican friends, look, I think you got to go knock on every door. I think it doesn't matter what color a person's skin is. I don't care who you love. I mean, I've been very specific in my speeches and conversations with the Republicans. We should be going after the vote of the Democrat or our stands and positions on LGBTQ issues. We've screwed up shit for decades. And the overreach is clearly possible, if not already there as well, for Republicans. So you get this pendulum swing back to where the Democrats are going to get into power one day again, and they will. And Republicans have created this mess to where the Democrats are going to return the favors of everything we're cleaning up right now in the cancel and woke culture. I am all for cleaning up, eliminating the cancel culture and eliminating the woke mob mentality. It's real. It's true. It needs to go away. We need to eliminate it. But the problem is the Republicans, I think, are going to go too far with it. And so this guy, I'm going to find this guy.
Some would
you
even
got
say
it.
that they have already gone too far.
No,
right?
it wasn't Van Jones. I love Van Jones. Like, I think Van Jones is, I love listening to Van Jones. So I think you got to go. You don't like Van Jones? I just think you got to get out there and listen to all kinds. Like, the number one news station I listen to is CNN. So, because I want to know what the other side's thinking. And I don't, look, the fact that white America and the, how does the Democrats categorize them? The undereducated, the no college degree having, country bumpkin living in the hills Republican. Well, they came out and mobilized, right? The greatest No Kings March was when the Republican Party came out and we started pulling people like Hispanics, African-American males. They're coming to the Republican Party in droves. Why? Cancel, woke culture, and these positions that the Democrats took. So at some point, this was all going to reverse. And I think, look, man, are people, I mean, these punks, the Republican Party, screw them, dude. Nobody wants those people around here as Republicans. I think it's abhorrent and it's absolutely terrible. And you know, it's the same thing when we talk about people who make fun of Palestinians. And yeah, I'm all for obliterating Hamas. I don't have any problem with that at all. I think we got a problem when we murder innocent Palestinian women and children and they're out there with no food. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. So we're talking out of both sides of our mouth. But I do think, just to, you know, let Sakib obviously want to chime in here, but I do think you have to recognize that this shit is everywhere on both sides. It's utterly ridiculous. And just as much as there are racist Nazi dudes on, like Sakib is claiming, there's murderous, hateful, vengeful, liberal white women who want to destroy every white male, every male walking around the face of the earth. I mean, it's all crazy.
Any male, man. I feel like I get so much. I can't go out anymore and like.
We could pay
you, bro. I don't know what it is, dude. Like, where was I at the other day? I was having dinner the other day.
Just stay in this room. Please.
Literally, this is why I don't go out, man, because it's like I feel like I'm getting attacked all the time, and I don't know if it's just like my energy or what it is, but I'm just like, I just gotta go fuck home. Like, I'm not doing this. I can't do it.
You dress well, and you're.
You know, how is that possible? Like, I go out all the time.
Brother, you look nice.
Do you not?
Apparently
nice?
not. I think I look nice, like a nice person, but people are looking at me like, I'm like, you don't even know me. I'm like, have a conversation
I
with me.
think you
don't
might be
even know
wearing a
me,
T-shirt
bro.
that
That's
says
how
"I'm
we
an
are.
asshole." That's why
It's so bad, bro. I'm telling you.
It's because
And it's been the environment for like
come on,
5-6 years now.
So,
And it's exhausting, dude.
So this reminds me of something that I wanted to talk about, like that I experienced on the campaign. So, but before I get into that, let me
Yes, please.
about the like the toxic masculinity that the Democrats talked about. They had a point. The problem was that some people within this discussion started saying it's actually just men. The problem is just men. When the discourse started, it was about toxic traits that made its way into what is considered traditional masculinity. So, for example, in my culture, in my religion, we do have something of an idea of what a man is. And I don't mean just social
Could you define
norms.
that for us
So,
so we understand, those who are not involved in your culture?
yeah, so I don't mean social norms like the way a man should dress or a man's hair or whatever, but it's supposed to be things like, you protect your family. You be a good father. You be a patient person, be the rock of your family. These kind of like just really generic things that aren't meant to be hard guidelines or hard rules that if you don't follow or if you veer off the path, you're not a man anymore.
They're just social norms that have molded
I would
y'all's
say
culture.
it's even looser than that. It's
Okay.
just some expectations and goals that a male should strive for. The problem is when you have figures like Andrew Tate, who is a Muslim, actually.
Yeah, he is.
When he starts like canceling out men if they're not strong enough,
They don't know how to fight.
if they don't know how to fight, if they don't have a six pack or whatever, or that
You're
idiot like
soft.
what's his name? Andy Elliott, that sales guy. Do you know what I'm
obviously-
talking about?
I know who you're talking about. You obviously don't like Andrew Tate, right?
No, I mean, so he's not part of like the role models of men that I subscribe to.
But he is a Muslim.
I mean, he is like he believes. So it's not in my rights to call him a non-Muslim. Like, if he says he believes, he believes. But his version of masculinity, I think, is toxic. And that,
In what sense?
I mean, first of all, he's
How do you protect your family if you can't fight? Well, let's
No,
break
no,
it
no.
down, right? Like,
So
he
there's-
says you should be able to
yeah.
fight.
So there's a difference between someone saying, self-defense is a good thing. It's good for your health. You'll be more confident. You'll be able to protect your family. And then there's a difference between someone saying you can't fight. You're not a man. So there's
Well,
encouragement.
you can't protect.
No, but there's encouragement, and then there's looking
I'm
down.
playing devil's
upon.
advocate here, and I'm going to get canceled.
So there's a difference between like
You're not here next week.
inspiring.
Right.
There's a difference between like inspiring someone and encouraging them, and then just talking down to them because they're not at your level.
Yeah.
So
I mean-
I think that's what a lot of these
I-
these male figures.
Andrew Tate's an extreme.
He is an extreme.
example. That's an extreme example. I would ask you, just from a faith perspective, toxic masculinity and being a Muslim and the views of that and stuff like that. Why do the women get covered up?
So
I'm just curious. I mean,
yeah, so
help
there's-
us understand,
question.
because it appears as though the woman, and according to Republican politics and politics in general, or that it appears as though the women are, and not in you. So I don't mean this at you. Like I said, I've never known a better man, father, and everybody Sakib comes from. I have no. In fact, I don't see this in San Antonio as a problem, but I don't live it, right? So, but one of the main talking points is that women are degraded and
Mhm.
lesser citizens in the Muslim world.
It almost
And
feels like a control to me.
To me, it
from
seems
an
like
outsider, a control thing.
seems super toxic masculinity to me.
For sure,
Right.
for
So
sure.
help us, and I don't want to veer off into something crazy, but that is something I think that is, I mean, to me, that can have the appearance, and I think many call it massive toxic
It's a
masculinity.
Oh,
to me, it looks
I
like a
agree.
control thing. But correct me if
Yeah,
I'm
but
wrong.
No, I agree. So first, it's important to understand like there are like different forms of society within the Muslim world, right? Turkish society, very different than Kuwaiti society, very different than Pakistani, very different than Indonesian. The degrees of conservatism in all of these countries is different, and the degree within the country between like the urban centers and the rural parts completely different. It's like multiple countries, multiple societies in each country, in each city. The rich elite behave one way. I mean, if you, the liberal elite in Pakistan are way more liberal than I could ever be. And this is just the diversity of societies, right? But I agree with you. There is toxic masculinity in Asia, in the Middle East, South Asia, North Africa. Uh, and I think it is fair to say that there is this version of Islam out there that gets peddled in the rural parts that promotes this idea, right? But I would argue that it's non-religious social factors that put men in these positions. For example, where unemployment is very high, you'll often find men finding meaning in something else, finding fulfillment in other ways, or if like the
See, and this goes back to like my theory of like, because I had an argument with someone last week because they messaged me and they're like, well, and I'll get into it. It goes back to my theory that our upbringing molds and trumps who we're taught or what we're taught to believe, whether it's religion, whether it's, well, if you're raised in a religious aspect, then that's different. But like politics, for instance, I feel like you don't learn politics until you reach a certain age. But your upbringing,
You learn
that
your,
molds.
your parents'
Yeah.
politics.
Right, your parents' politics.
But
But
you have to pay the bills.
right. But I'm saying your upbringing molds and trumps these beliefs. So you can be racist and be on the left.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that goes back to my thing of you could be racist and be on the left. And it'll take me back to like I had an argument this week where I had an individual message me because I had posted that the Trump administration had blown up another boat on the coast of Venezuela, and I was like, dope. And then Maduro was mobilizing troops, and so I had posted on my story. I was like, "We sending the F-22 Raptors yet?"
They were sending the B-1,
Right.
the B-1 Lancer.
We sent the B1s this week. So I was like, I posted that, and somebody messaged me back, and they're like, they gave me shit for posting that. Oh, they're blowing innocent people on the boat.
Barack Obama that did it.
It'd
be okay.
so. But
Somebody else's belief is that they're
did
not
the
shipping drugs.
government have a case though, where they
That's what I'm going back to. This person had messaged me, and they said, well, why don't they put out information? I'm like, oh, like the 9/11 Commission report, the JFK report, that kind of information? Or let's not tell you what it is, and you could believe whatever you want. Because the government has lied to you.
That's what I was going to say.
At every avenue.
Be very clear here. Marco Rubio was very clear in the Oval Office with the president. They were coming in submarines. That is a submarine. Like these narco terrorists are not messing around just in these goofy boats with their little prop motor and stuff like that. Sometimes they're in submarines. They're doing different things.
There's videos of Coast Guards raiding the submarine.
Yeah, these people need to go down. And at some point, you got to trust your political leadership to at least, you're not going to get all the information because there's people undercover, there's people working human intelligence sources. You're not going to get this information. And you can't trust them because nobody believes in anything anymore. So at this point, if that was, to me, it's purely political. If Barack Obama had dropped those bombs, Democrats would be run all over the place. And fair enough, Republicans would be criticizing it. So it's the same thing with this White House demolition thing. Republicans are praising it. It's the greatest thing. In 1948, when Harry Truman gutted the White House, Republicans were criticizing him. Like it's just, it's an endless political, everything is so politicized at this point that you're basically going to fall along the fault line of 40% love it, 40% hate it, and 20% have no clue, and they'll make their mind up when they hear about it. Like this is where we're at. In fact, it's not even 20% anymore. It's probably 10% have.
I think in this case, not enough people know that it was private money used for it.
For the
White House thing,
because it does look bad if it was taxpayer funded at a time when the economy is struggling and we're cutting benefits.
Before we jump forward to finish that topic, to me the tragedy is that people lose friendships over shit like that, and so it's just like, to me, it's always tragic when you lose friendships.
Bro, that's welcome to this is what it is now. It's because our friendships are in so much as the depth of our Facebook friend count, right?
Right.
So if I lost a lot of friends because I start posting Trump stuff, I mean, I can't tell you how many people, I didn't know you were like this, man. This is terrible. I'm like, what am I like? I'm not any different than I was last week. And by the way, I think redoing the White House is a good thing. And I'm glad he bombed those narco terrorists. And I'll go right down the list of things. And by the way, I also think he overstepped his boundaries here, here, and here. Like, and I don't think we should be upending marriage equality. And I mean, you can go down these lists of things, but nobody can have this. It's either all or nothing, right? And which is kind of sad, but
conversation is lost.
And I think it's sad.
Let me take a different perspective.
Please.
Not to only disagree.
Please.
There is an instance where I could see that a person says something and it just reveals a complete misalignment in our values, and it makes me think that this person is not who I thought they were. I'll give you an example. This is just a hypothetical.
Please.
This hasn't happened, but today, if one of my friends starts posting pro Joe Biden things, I would be very upset. And first, I would say, "What's wrong with you? Like, this is the guy that started the genocide." And then if he comes up with some, "Oh, but he did this and this," like, what does any of that matter when like 50,000 people died under his watch? Sorry, not died, killed, murdered, targeted, and he financed the whole thing enthusiastically. Financed the whole thing. Yeah, but we're Democrats and we get it. No, okay, no. Now, if I hear someone talking like this, I'm going to say, okay, clearly our values are misaligned. You care about some things, but human life is negotiable to you. There's a hierarchy in value for you, and I don't know if I could be friends with that kind of person anymore.
I guess there is a line, like, but I mean, I'm friends with people who are, as a Catholic, I'm friends with people who are, believe in abortion and support abortion rights. I don't unfriend somebody because they believe that it's a woman's right to choose. I believe that it's not, that in my case, I'm pro-life, right? So, and of course, I do believe that medical issues and things like that should be between a doctor and the family, obviously, 100%. But I do believe, and my faith calls me to think that abortion's immoral and
Preserve
wrong.
life.
Yeah, the preservation of life's important, and life begins at conception. That's my belief. But he's talking about a life and death situation with genocide, and like, what about the genocide of the death of aborted babies? Like, I mean, I can make that argument as the day is long. So whose life is more important? So we can't just say, oh well, I'm going to unfriend you because you believe it's not a genocide, and you don't recognize these people. Well, what about the genocide of unborn babies? So, I mean, it's a belief system, right?
Merits a conversation, but you can't have a conversation with everyone.
No, you can't. So, do I unfriend anybody over their abortion beliefs? No, I don't. And some of these things I just believe straight up are ballot box issues. Like, the country is, nobody wins with 100% of the vote. And this will kind of segue us into the political discussions of San Antonio. But, nobody wins 100% of the vote. And I think the best scoreboard we can have is whoever wins that vote at that time has the power for X amount of time, and they have to continue to earn it. And more often than not, they overstep their boundaries, they overreach, and then almost always goes back to the other party. And we live in this pendulum swing where we've gotten to the point now where it's so polarized and hateful that, it's destroyed.
On that subject, campaign stories, right? During the mayoral race, I believe in preservation of life, but I believe that it is a woman's choice. And we won't get into it now because we'll probably take the whole podcast.
I'm going to unfriend you after.
I know, right? But
you're done, bro. You're done.
So I'm at one of the Republican lunches, I think it was Bear County Republican luncheon, and this lady approaches me, and I'm like, "Would you want me to tell you what to do? Like, would you want me to control what you do?" And she couldn't answer that, but I was getting so much heat because I was like, well, it's the women's choice. As a man, I cannot make that choice for that. I can't take that stance.
Let me tell you a story, and I'm going to get Sakib in on this.
Well,
I'm curious because of the.
Let me finish real quick.
Yeah.
Let me finish real quick.
I'm really curious.
The whole entire time of the campaign for the next 6 months, she kind of tarnished my image in that group at any point that
because
she could.
You were
because I was pro woman's choice.
Okay, you're pro-choice then.
I believe in preserving life,
okay,
but I do believe that as a man, I will not control a woman. I will not tell women what to do. I just can't. I can't. I wouldn't want my mom being told what to do. I don't have sisters, but I have very close cousins. I have very close friends that are girls. I couldn't tell a woman what to do.
Okay, that extrapolates into multiple things.
It does.
You can't tell people how to live their life.
That's an episode in itself.
Yeah, so that's a whole other thing. I'll give you an example, though, about how you handle this as a Republican.
Please.
And I would encourage every conservative Republican to remember this. If you're going to care about babies in the womb, you got to care about babies outside of the womb.
For sure.
So don't be a hypocrite, right? Don't be a hypocrite and just only care when they're in mama, and then when mama gives their. And by the way, I believe it's a woman that births that child.
Yeah.
When that woman births that child, then you should care about it just as much. Like, are they eating? Are they getting a good education?
Yep.
Are we taking care of their families? Are the jobs and opportunity? That baby should have the same rights, and the government has to step into that gap when it doesn't exist. I had to take a vote one time when I was on the city council. We were voting on putting money towards IUDs for young women.
Birth
When I
control.
say young women on IUD birth control, we were going to spend city tax dollars to put it on IUDs available for 14 to 19-year-old women, second pregnancy. That was the qualification. 14 to 19-year-olds, we were going to fund that. That same day, we were also voting on putting in a former abortionist as our Metro Health Director. So I'm, at that point, I have a dilemma, right? I don't believe in either one of these things.
Abortionist?
Dr. Jinda Wu used to be an abortionist.
Like someone who performs
She would
abortion.
conduct the
Okay.
abortion.
She became the Metro Health Director. So I decided and made it clear that I was going to pull these items and I was going to stand in opposition of them based on my faith alone. Like every now and then you come up to a decision where you got to stick to your faith. I mean, you can't, I answer to a higher calling, right? That's just how I believe it. So, but it could have gone two ways with that, right? So what I did was, and I got calls from women leaders telling me, please don't make a point about this. Don't make this publicly worse than it has to be. You don't understand what you're talking about. I'm like, look, I answer, my faith is calling me to this. I'm going to pull it and I'm going to make comments because these items oftentimes pass on a consent agenda where you don't have any debate on them. They're just voted on. I said, I can't put my vote on those items. I'm not going to do it. So I pulled it and all I simply said was, my faith calls me to stand true to what I believe and I'm voting no. I'm not here to judge and I'm going to lose. And I lost that vote 10-1. And I knew it was going to happen. But I didn't want to put my vote on dollars going towards IUDs for 14-year-olds. And I didn't want to put it on a former abortionist becoming the Metro Health Director. I agree with it. I disagree with it 100%. And I stood for it. But I did it in a respectful way that I knew that's the scoreboard vote. Where the country is at, it's the same thing with same-sex marriage. It is now the law of the land. Live with it. Get ready for it. We don't need to undo it or to go backwards on our laws and things like that. We got to respect that. So those issues are very important. And you can vote your conscience as a Republican. You can vote your life and your heart. And on the front page of the Express News the next day, it literally said, answering Greg Brockhouse's questions on IUDs. I was like,
what is that supposed to imply?
It was supposed to imply that I was against women. It's like, I'm not against women.
Right.
So you got to be very careful, right? So I think I think you can disagree. You can disagree in these issues and do them in such a respectful way that you're okay, man.
Do you think the country would be far more ahead? And we say country, we'll say, the states within it, the cities within it would be far more ahead if the two-party system did not exist. You don't think so?
Yeah, there's always people got to have a home.
If everyone put their own ideologies into
I would
debate,
actually take it a step further. I actually think political parties are un-American, and I think
political parties are un-American. Okay, I would agree with you.
Forget two-party. I think political parties, because then your interest becomes the party interest.
That's my dilemma.
Not the country or your constituents. This is one thing I was happy with. One thing about the campaign, I was happy about many things, but one thing was that it's nonpartisan. Even though
you talking about Trump's campaign?
No, the city council campaign. Yeah. Even though you may be a partisan person, but the way the system is designed, it forces you to talk to everyone and not just toe a party line. And I hope that my message came across because I felt like at the time I got plenty of support from Republicans, plenty of support from people with a Trump flag. It was weird.
Muslim or not,
dude? No, not Muslim.
He had Trump guys sign in his yard.
Yeah, it was a lesson for me.
The white guys,
dude. Yeah, whatever stereotype you could think
vouch
of
for this.
Yeah, I mean, I saw houses with Trump, Cruz, Shaikh. I did not expect that, but what resonated with them, I thought my message was pretty straightforward. I used to talk about government accountability.
Is that photo, bro?
I'll find it. It's in my phone.
No, it was that photo. The photo I told you, your campaign photos.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Spot on, dude. On the signs. Go on. Sorry.
Maybe this pretty privilege. It's a good photo, but so
you had support, obviously.
So being nonpartisan, I didn't, because the system is designed that way. I didn't want to go against that and come across as partisan. So it forced me to think in different ways. It forced me to think about Republicans and the things that they care about. When you go just one level below in a conversation with anyone, regardless of how hyper-partisan they are, you'll find common humanity pretty quickly.
So let me ask you this, because you obviously did the right thing. This is why we're friends. Somebody who has done the same thing, right? To put themselves outside of the retrospect of the party. Did they win? Because I obviously didn't. You obviously didn't.
No.
Like, do they win? They don't,
Okay, so
right?
in the District 8 race, I would say all of the candidates, except maybe one, put themselves pretty much outside. Like Paula McGee got labeled a conservative over and over in the media, but she never, to her credit, she never said anything that was conservative in my opinion. Like she was pretty mainstream in the issues that she advocated for.
People are lying about the candidates. That's so you hit the nail on the head. Something with got local politics.
Yeah.
And I do believe that nonpartisan is excellent. I love running in nonpartisan races. But the fact is, people are liars and they lie about you.
For sure.
So it makes no difference.
You're talking about people or media?
Voters and media will lie about you.
Yeah.
Because there's perception, right? It's just like, and we talked about this last week. People are going to vote for what they don't know, and they don't know you personally. So the goal is to get to meet as many people as possible so they know you personally. He was with the Ted Cruz sign because they met him and they liked him, and he got past that first layer. The first layer says he's a Muslim. There's no way this guy's he's a terrorist. He's got to go, right? No way. We don't want that here. But then he met him. He's like, oh shit, this guy's a businessman.
Yeah.
He's got some. Wait a second. This is.
I'm just talking about streets.
How wrong was I? Imagine that, right? So people lie because they got to win elections, right? I'm running for mayor in 2019, and I lose by 1,300 votes. I mean, it's ridiculous. The lies about me were so deep; it was pathetic. It was pathetic. I hate gay people. I hate Mexican. I'm Mexican. I hate gay people. I mean, it just you go right after the other because it's easier to win the election, right? You got to win the election. So this is about the process of elections. It's not about the process of governance. Winning an election is different than governing. It's completely different.
On this last time.
So how do you win the election? You annihilate, destroy, lie. That's how people do it. And then you fall into your camps. You fall into your camps. So, come on, bro. I hate gay people. I've never once posted anything about anything anti-LGBT ever. I don't do it. It doesn't bother me.
Love you're a Trumpy. That's why.
Well, no, because I
met before Trump.
This is well before Trump, man. This is
2016.
Oh, that's right.
Bro, this is a long time ago,
Trump
man.
1.0?
You know what? I have no problem with it. I absolutely support of it, even as a Catholic. I mean, you can't get married in a Catholic church, but you can. You're more than welcome to worship with me. Show up. The LGBT issue for me was never a problem, but in the campaign, I supported Chick-fil-A, so therefore I'm an absolute hater, and I hate gay people. I'm out here to destroy the entire world, and it's just like we get so. So even though it's nonpartisan, it's completely partisan because it's the easiest way to win the election. We govern in a nonpartisan way, but the elections are now devolved into a complete. The reason, I mean, I tell you what, I have only changed positions because I meet people. The reason I had no problem advocating or espousing for LGBT issues because I met a guy named Rod Grant. I ran into him at a car wash. We were washing our cars together, and he's a gay man. And we sat there talking. We hit it off. We started talking or whatever. We were there for a couple hours. He told me about his partner, Joe. This was 15 years ago, man. Told me about his partner, Joe, who died of a neuromuscular disease. And he worked at USAA. And Rod couldn't do two things. Rod couldn't go see his partner in the hospital because he wasn't family. At that point, where they weren't married.
Yeah.
So he couldn't get in there as a family member.
Wow.
And then he couldn't get his rights to Joe's pension and benefits from USA because they weren't married. This guy still posts about Joe to this day. He's always posting about him. And I sat with him. So that dude in that one moment changed my mind completely about the LGBT issue from a sense of governance. So while I believe in my Catholic faith, I thought, well, we got to govern like this to lead. Like, so we govern differently than we run elections. But unfortunately, we're electing people in these very divisive ways. And then we end up with this ridiculous governance. So they're two separate pieces. I always try to encourage people like that. Just because you see the person running doesn't mean that's actually how they're going to govern. They're just trying to win an election. They need 50+1, and that's how we're running it. And we're destroying the entire process just to win the election. So then we get what we get to City Hall. And the same thing when I voted to tear down, my Republican friends are mad at this, to tear down that Travis Park monument, the statue downtown. I voted on it because one black woman stood up and told me how she felt about it when she walked by the statue. Nobody cared about that damn statue until statues started coming down, right? So nobody cared. No Republican ever stood up and did anything to defend that. It was nothing. It was zero. It didn't matter. She stood up and she made such an impassioned plea about how she felt about it. I was like, yep, I'm going to vote yes. So when we engage on this one-on-one scenario, things change, man. During all those BLM movements, they were coming to City Hall. I was getting ripped by BLM. They were looking at me on the dais, calling me a racist, ripping me to shreds about the statues and everything, tearing me apart. And I voted with them. I laughed, and I was laughing at him while he was speaking. And he looked at me, the leader of the BLM movement in San Antonio. He was
Talking about
laughing.
the long-haired guy?
John David Jones, I think was his name, or something like that. One of the activists, one of the leaders. He's like, "Why are you laughing at me, man?" I said, "Well, are you done?" He goes, "Yeah." I said, "I'm laughing at you because I'm voting with you."
And he's like, what?
He's like, "What do you mean, brother?" I'm like, "I'm with you. You have just categorized me because of whatever, like
Right.
whatever personal bias you have."
Right.
So, like, I don't want to dominate the whole thing, but the conversation I'm trying to tell you is when you're elected and you lead and you run campaigns and you win, you're running a campaign trying to, we try to marginalize in campaigns. I'm a consultant. I do it. We go right down to a micro target to where, no, we can say this thing to this person and I can get 52% of the vote because we don't win big elections overwhelming anymore. We win them close. But we try to micro target and destroy these edges so that way we can get just our people out. And then it's not a matter anymore of so the campaign of trying to be a uniters, those days are gone. They're
Yeah.
never going to return.
Yeah, because you don't win.
No, you won't win.
You won't win.
So now, but then the governance becomes the challenge because you can be really good. Trust me, man. You can be really good at winning a campaign and really shitty as a leader
Yeah. I see
because
that.
the campaign's not the person. The elected official's the person and the leader. The campaign is a shell intended to tell a story to get a vote. And the people who win are can't. That's why I feel bad about Sakib, right? Is because, he got categorized quickly because he came into with some predetermined issues and just didn't have enough time. I often think there's certain candidates run out of time. They don't run out of votes. They just ran out of time. Sakib has another month. He's in the runoff. He's just not enough time.
Yeah, it's
And because you got to
quick.
get people to know you. So I'm sorry to go off on this. It's just very important to me that we recognize that these campaigns hurt the city more than they help the city, as we
Yeah.
see right now with the Spurs, basically dividing our city in a very ugly way so that they can get a new arena. I'm sorry, Sakib, I don't want to.
I feel like I
Oh
can't.
no, that's a good segue actually.
Yeah, and you know what sucks? I was thinking about this the other day because I'm a huge basketball fan now. I used to be a huge basketball fan like 90s, early 2000s, and I feel like I've just like woken back up in the past 2 years or year, and I feel like I shouldn't go to a Spurs game because I feel like I'm gonna get so much shit if I run into anyone, and which sucks because I'm like the biggest Spurs fan. Now I'm like, well, do I still go? But I have this anxiety about going. But yeah, not to steer us off, but Spurs, it's
So
important.
I haven't voted yet.
You haven't. I
No.
voted last week. Okay. Oh, you vote already?
I vote only on election day.
Okay. Go
I
on.
get
So
dressed up and everything. Go have
I'm-
breakfast and do the whole thing.
I'm still trying to find a reason to support it. But
Brother, come on. Are you
in
serious
in
right
the
now?
end, I mean,
I should play a video that I heard
Did you vote yes?
Easter. Okay. I am a capitalist, brother,
All right.
and I believe that
Sorry.
every institutional investor should fight and negotiate for their own. And I'll tell you this: there's a video. I watch Bloomberg every day. There was a video. John Easterly, who manages Sixth Street Investors, he gets asked by the anchor. He's like, "Okay, I can't let you off. This is the last question. I can't let you off, but I want to ask you about your sports investments. Tell me about it." And I'd have to play the video. Hope maybe I could edit it whenever we play it, but I have to play the video because he directly says we're going to do it the Sixth Street way, which is language for we're going to do it the hedge fund way or the private equity way, whatever you want to call it. And the last comment that he makes was, "We were early on the Spurs." So what does that tell you, right? As an investor, we were early on the Spurs tells you that there is room for negotiation, but we don't know where it's going to go yet. That's what it means when you're early on an investment. We're early on an investment. We don't know where it's going to go, but we're working at it. And this is the first chip at that table, right? Like the negotiation, if they win it, they win big. That's how I see it, right? Because that's, as an institutional investor, that's what you do. So to make that comment, we were early on the San Antonio Spurs, and I'll play it. I'll edit it into this. I'll play it. But anybody who understands finance could watch it. The sad thing is the majority of people that are voting don't look at the details of what exactly this whole thing means. But being early on an investment means there's a lot of room for negotiation, and the opportunity isn't a win yet. Now, I'm going to theorize this. This is my theory. I think they only have about 20%. Could be wrong. 20% of the holding. I think that if this doesn't go through, and they're going to have, I think this is the first bat at negotiation. If it doesn't go
Yeah.
through, they're going to have more bats at negotiation. There's going to come a point where 6th Street is not going to want to get involved anymore if the deal isn't sweet enough. And at that point, I think we do see a divest from that standpoint. That is my predicament. We'll see how it plays out.
What's worse for us as residents, divestment of 6th Street into the Spurs?
No, that's better.
That's better.
I'll tell you why it's better. And Mark Cuban made these comments recently. Mark Cuban made the claim that private equity has messed up the whole game of owning teams. Now, if 6th Street divest, that is a win. Why? Because it brings the dynamic of what owning a team actually means. And we know that when it's ownership in that sense, the experience is better.
So, but that's assuming that whatever their stake is, that 20% is going to go back to a local owner.
I don't think it will. The game is different today, and I commented on WAI's post yesterday. I said, you guys are talking about $4 million a year for 30 years as if it's big money. I said, you guys are spitting elementary finance here. I said, you guys need to learn what the game of, we'll say sports. I'm not going to just point it to the NBA because it's all sports. You guys need to learn about the game of sports in today's modern finance day.
People are bragging about the community benefits agreement at $75 million over 30 years. It's a joke.
They divest.
Wow, I thought it was over 10 years, over 30 years.
It's over 30 years.
To answer your question, they divest. Another institutional comes in.
$250,000 per council district per year. You'll waste that on one street.
And we don't even know what it can be used for.
Well, the money they're just giving the city, they're not even.
See.
So it's $2.5 million a year. That's what
nothing, brother.
It's nothing.
It's nothing.
So and by the way, once the Spurs build out around the arena, they're going to own all.
They have the rights to it.
They have the rights to everything.
And guess what happens to real estate prices?
So
they always go up.
$1.4 billion investment is going to reap them $6 to $10 billion of profit.
What
real estate holdings, you name it,
for a minimum of 30 years.
Yeah,
so think about the growth, right? What are growth expectations for real estate in the city of San Antonio based on historical facts? Anybody could look it up at home. I promise you, it's huge. Now lock that in for 30 years.
They're billions. They stand to make billions. So
that's why hedge funds are involved.
Yeah, and that's what the Spurs are.
It's not about just teams anymore, guys.
And over time,
real estate, baby.
And what the city of San Antonio did was obviously do all this in closed doors negotiation. They'll say, oh, this has to be private because private equity is involved. So they're going to sign non-disclosure agreements. We can't discuss this with people. We can't talk about this. So they create the monster, right? Frankenstein in the
dark
the
markets,
lab,
baby.
right? And out comes Project Marvel. And if you read yesterday in the KSAT or KMOL, one of the news stations came out and said Spurs trying to distance themselves from Project Marvel, right? Like, because they don't want to be a part of the overall animal because they know it's not polling well. And then all these things start to pop up, like moving a SAWS chiller plant that's going to cost $200 million. We're going to need $250 million more dollars in infrastructure, a bond we're going to have to pass next year, and we're going to give them $489 million. Something's always going to come up because the term sheet, if you ever looked at it, it's very basic. There's not a lot of definitive issues there. Yeah, you'll get $4 million of rent. And a $75 million community benefits agreement. The Spurs are staring down a win somewhere between, I'd even go further than the $6 billion. It's probably an $8 to $12 billion 30-year play.
Probably more, dude.
Yeah. So the Spurs they're not knocking on the door of worrying about $75 million.
And
that's a signing bonus for one of their superstars.
And you know what? The worst part about it all, the people who are negotiating it don't even understand capital markets. Look at the people that are sitting on council that are pushing this. To me, they don't understand capital markets, because if they understood capital markets, they would bring in other hedge funds to start competing with.
What conversation are you hearing from council members that you feel like dissatisfied or that this person doesn't understand what they're talking about?
Mark White just got another ethics report. What was it, yesterday?
Yeah, another complaint.
So if that doesn't tell you anything, then look deeper. But to get an ethics report, I think several council members maybe did. Look at the ethics report.
Yeah.
And listen to what they've been pushing for the past, we'll say, 6 months.
Well, the ethics complaint is saying they're holding unfair community meetings that are one-sided.
Right.
And they'll say, oh, no, we're not. everybody's invited. You could have showed up to make an argument against it. That's not true. You weren't invited.
The whole
Like,
presentation, is pushing to get it.
Right.
So the whole presentation is about Project Marvel and its positives, but they don't invite. They're not setting up two separate people to debate it. They're not. What they're doing is they're bringing in the Spurs and the organization, and then the council member watches as people ask questions. But there's not well, hold on a second here.
Yeah, there's no public debate on it.
Hold on a second, because there should be equal time. And somebody will say, well, the mayor told him to go out and do town halls. Yes, the mayor did say go out and do town halls. But when you're on taxpayer time, you're on taxpayer dollars, using taxpayer resources, you're obligated that you have to, there's two sides to the argument. What is it? The FEC, I think you have to have equal time on radio stations. Like if you bring candidates on, the other side has to have the equal opportunity as well. There's the media market rates are the same for everybody. Like one party doesn't pay more for an ad than another. It's like WAI radio, right? They're the biggest violators of this right now. They're so deep in the pocket
100%.
of the Spurs, they don't bring any oppositional voice on WAI radio. Like I would want somebody to file an FEC complaint against them.
I'm surprised it hasn't been done.
Because they're clearly bootlicking the Spurs, and they won't bring on any opposition.
That's why independent podcasts like this are important.
Well, independent podcasts are where the news hopefully is going. I mean, WAI radio is it's owned by the Spurs. They own them.
Yeah.
So I think you have to look. The Spurs, this thing is going to pass. I mean, I'll probably get a better feel for it over the next couple of days. I mean, the Spurs supporters are going to come out strong early, so it's going to feel like there's a shift towards the Spurs. It doesn't hurt that Victor Wembanyama had a monster game the other night. And the Spurs are on some winning streaks. I don't think that makes a difference in a person's vote. Right now, we're sitting at you hate it or you love it.
No, you could be a big fan of the Spurs. Let me point that out.
Yeah.
You could be a big fan of the Spurs and
vote
still vote no.
Yeah.
I am a big fan of the Spurs. I will love watching the games. I still voted no.
Yeah, so I think right now we're seeing a decent turnout for the yes side, but that's to be expected. The motivated come out quick.
It's coming out polling already, or
well, you can tell by the numbers where they're coming and just kind of anecdotal evidence from people at the poll sites.
Are you still a no?
I'm a no. Yeah, I'm a no.
Sakib, you've pointed out you are still a yes.
No, no,
not a yes. You are still a undecided.
I'm a soft no, and I'll probably stay that way until I go to the vote and vote that way. But the only reason why I'm a soft no is because I like the idea of big projects. I love the idea.
Same.
Buildings. Okay, you know that what is that thing in St. Louis, the arch?
Yeah, the arch.
There's nothing. That's not an architectural wonder by any stretch of the imagination. But people like it. Like people go there to visit it, and that was spent using public money. So I like those kind of things. I love monuments, art installations all throughout the city.
But you're a capitalist. Would you label yourself as a capitalist or no? That's why I brought it up.
Hear the pause?
That's why I brought it up.
Because it's a deep question. Okay, so do I think
that word has a lot of connotations for soccer?
So do you think the government should fund all of this build out?
No. So I mean, but I hear your question differently.
And I won't say fund because people are going to give me shit and they're going to say, well, it's visitor taxpayer dollars. Well, I'm sorry, but it's guaranteed by the bonds who we are underwriting.
Right.
Am I wrong in that?
100%.
No, that's true.
Okay.
So bonds are not on the taxpayer, on the visitors.
Right.
So when you ask me, am I a capitalist? I hear that question differently. And so that's why there's a pause.
How do you hear it before you answer this?
Yeah.
So I understand.
So when I hear it, it sounds like you're asking me as a public person, and what I advocate for society is that people should focus on their capital.
No,
and
I'm asking, do you believe in capitalism do you believe in the structures that have built the United States, which is we are in a capitalistic society here?
Okay, define capitalism.
Capitalism, productivity is running through the economy, and productivity, much of it being in the private markets and publicly traded markets, because people are going to misconstrue that. Productivity fuels the growth. It's not all done by the government is funding everything.
Okay, so let's take the word
subsidize is different word.
Let's take the word capitalism out. Do I think there's a place for private markets? Yes. And
do you think it's the sole place for growth?
It's one of the places. The sole place, no.
Do you think it's the strongest place for growth?
No.
Okay.
No.
We are the strongest economy in the world.
Yeah, but our like standard of living is not. It comes at a cost. Like we have high earners and we have extreme low earners. Like our Like the standard of living, like we have this image of the rest of the world as if like their poor are just living in the
Well, go to
mud.
Mexico and say that to a middle class person. Oh, wait, there's not a middle class person in
No,
Mexico.
no. There is a middle class in Mexico. Like,
No.
no, they don't have a lot of money in their bank, but they're living dignified lives.
You think there's a middle class in
I
Mexico?
think there's the wealthy elite
And the poor.
and the poor.
No, it's just that
And if you're-
the
and if-
definition of middle class is very different
And
now.
if you're middle, you will get funneled out of that sucker so effing quick.
I mean, there are some neighborhoods that are high end, Roma Norte, Condesa, whatever. But then there's like Coyoacán, where there are still middle class families living there, and they don't have multiple cars in their homes. They don't have huge homes, but they live dignified lives.
I'm going to try to pull up economic numbers from Mexico next time.
The thing is,
Don't
like,
Tucker Carlson him.
no. The thing is, like, I don't think GDP and economic data is the best measure of just
No,
a
just
standard
standard
of
of living. Just standard of
So
living.
things can be expensive, and you might not have a big savings account, but that doesn't mean where you're at right now isn't a good place. And I don't think capitalism is the only driver for that.
I think cortisol, the stress hormone, deteriorates
Cortisol.
life. And if you're stressed out because you don't have a savings and you can't make a buck and you have to move to the United
Alright.
States,
If you don't have the concept of like a retirement account
too
or something,
familiar with that word.
like if you don't have that concept, then you don't know what you're missing out on. You just
Let me tell
You just live.
Let me tell you, this is my take on that.
Please.
Because why I'm against it is a myriad of reasons, and it really comes down to priorities.
Why you're against
The Spurs.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
You're not against the Spurs. Why you're
I think
against
they've ran a
voting?
very divisive campaign, by the way, and it's unfortunate and sad, and I think they've hurt themselves in the long term. But they started that years ago when they turned highly political with Greg Popovich, and they've this really destroyed a lot of goodwill. That can be rebuilt, though. All those things can be rebuilt. But here's the hard truth about government and capitalist societies. I believe this about government. It's the last best thing that can save the world. And I know that's probably not what people want
government
to hear.
or capitalism.
Government.
Government is the last best
Best
thing
thing
that
to
can
save the world. It's the last best piece of world that can do good for everybody. We corrupt it as human beings
Yeah.
through free will, but the government structure itself serves the purpose of serving the people. And I'm not talking about fascism or communism. I'm talking about our system of government, right?
Democracy.
If it operated in the way it should, we take care of everybody. We do the best we can, and we're fighting, and we're all in it for each other, all these other things. We've corrupted it through faith, free will,
Right.
belief systems, political systems, whatever.
Upbringing, what we believe.
But I still believe in government. I think it's the last thing that could really still equal the score. Because I think of it like this when I think of the Spurs. I think about you mentioned it. You made a joke about cortisol and not being able to pay the bills, but this is the truth. That's a birth lottery, right? You're born on the south side of San Antonio. You don't have the same opportunity. You sleep on a couch. Your family doesn't have the food for you. The only place you eat's at school. And then you go to school, and that's the only place you find love. And this is perpetuated over generations, by the way. This isn't just, you were born on this zip code.
It's coded into your
It's coded
genealogy,
into your
man.
DNA that you're not going to have a place to sleep. You got to sleep with one eye open. The chance of you getting beat up at school pretty high. That you don't have an iPad or computer at school. If you do, it's a
You
Dell
hear a
computer.
gunshot every night.
You're working on a Dell computer from 2005, and you drive 10 minutes north, and you're at a Northside Independence or NEISD school like a Reagan or something like that with the best tech, the best equipment, and best everything. Government is there to solve that. And shame on Republicans who think that it's not, because that's why we lose elections in San Antonio. We lose them in a lot of places because the government should be there to fill those gaps.
100%.
And
I
so
agree.
we have to be very careful. Does capitalism solve that? Capitalism generates tax revenue for government to do what it's supposed to do.
I agree.
And that's how I view it. And that's why I'm sick and tired of Spurs and billion-dollar organizations trying to suck more taxpayer money away, because we could have done them both at the same time.
Right.
We should have done them both. We should be fixing Vital Creek. And
What's the catalyst to why it didn't happen? I don't want to steer away
piss
from
poor leadership. We talked about that earlier. It's piss
exactly.
poor leadership. It's not on the Spurs to do it, but
No.
they're acting like it is. They're claiming the success of building a city, but they don't want any accountability for building a city. Like, once they get their money, they're gone. They're not going to show up again. They're not going to call Mark White. They're not going to call Misty Spears and Marina Gavito. They're not going to be hanging out with the Spurs any longer. Once they get their vote and their money, they're gone. And by the way, once you're unelected, they don't call you anymore. So the job is not this fantastic thing that defines who you are. I told one of my very best friends when he got elected, do not let this be the best thing you ever do in your life. It's really not that important, my man.
Did he or she? Or
Was it he?
Did he?
Yeah, I looked at him. I said, the best thing you're going to do in your life is to get married and have some kids. Because this is not the best thing. If this thing becomes your defining characteristic, you suck.
Yeah.
So, but that's how it is downtown, right? So we got to work against, you have to have, I've got this liberal streak in me. I do. I'll admit it, that comes to social justice, which is the dollars we have, we can't equally push them everywhere because we have honestly screwed Republicans, Democrats, conservatives, nonpartisan. We've screwed sides of our community for decades. And it's not fair. And we have to find some way to fix it. But we've mocked that whole thing up, the Democrats did, with woke this and equity this and equity that. We try to label it, then we piss people off, we fall into camps, and it ends. And the same people are struggling now that struggled then. So my greatest argument will be, I would tell you right now, I'm the mayor of San Antonio. What I would have done was I'd have hopped on a bond immediately to fix the infrastructure, never have a Bidle Creek flood again where we lose 15 lives, 13 lives buried in the mud in the middle of a major urban city. It's ridiculous. It's out of control. I'm dumping $1 billion into the infrastructure, and we're going at it the same time we're selling for a new Spurs arena only. We don't need all this other crap. We need the arena for the Spurs, and that's it. And we're going to save them and keep them because we do need them, and we do want them here. We want to move forward with it. This is completely wrong from the beginning, and it never should have been done like this. And by the way, it was done by an alleged, mayor who was a progressive, Ron Nuremberg, who's a champion for all this, now going to be running for county judge.
And people will vote for him.
People will vote for him, but the guy accomplished little to nothing.
Dude.
Little to nothing. So, look.
That's your friend, isn't it?
Consider that the government, coming from a conservative, and I get in trouble with my friends for this, my conservative friends, it is the last best opportunity. It's the only thing that stands between obliteration of the poor and the eliminate. I will give it, the other one that does is the church.
Yeah.
But not everybody's on the church. Like, not everybody's faith. That government's there for everybody, man.
Is that okay? So I got to ask this question.
The biggest church is actually the government.
These backdoor
because it's
deals.
there for everybody.
These backdoor conversations that were happening, right? I want to ask Sakib, because I just asked if that's your friend. You said you're friends with everyone. Do you believe that Nuremberg helped the local economy, or more so deteriorated it?
Like overall,
overall, yeah.
years?
How many times? 8 years?
He did 8 years. Yeah.
8 years.
What's the criticism, though, when it comes to the economy?
Did he help the local economy, or did he make it worse?
I think COVID, kind of changed everything, the trajectory of
New York bounced back hard. I don't know.
I mean, yeah, New York, you can't compare.
Right.
But for a city like San Antonio that was kind of starting to get off of its crutches, I think COVID just reset everything.
So answer the question. Do you think he helped the economy, or more so deteriorated it?
I mean, it's kind of hard to answer that. Okay, so let's get specific. I think Ready to Work was a good initiative.
You think it's a good initiative?
It might not be doing everything right.
Okay.
Like it's not meeting any of its metrics, right?
Right.
So
because it's not formulated, in my opinion, by capitalism ideologies.
No, I think it's job training, right, for the private market. It's not just teaching people how to get
Goes
government
deeper.
benefits or something.
It's got, to me, I'm gonna let you off the question. So you don't want to answer it.
No.
Well,
I think I am answering,
All right,
but it's not a black and white answer. So that initiative is good. I think it is designed to end generational poverty by giving people skills. You know, what's that saying from Ronald Reagan? Like the best.
Yeah, but economies evolve. That's my direct
right,
point.
right. So it's not perfect, but it's getting
not
people into a program, giving them a skill that is today at least useful.
What are you talking about?
Ready to work.
Oh, that's a total and absolute joke of a
It's
failure.
a joke. It doesn't.
It hasn't even helped 300.
No. I acknowledge that it hasn't met its metrics, but I'm saying
No, it just did not meet its metrics.
It failed.
Completely failed. Total, abject, absolute failure.
And what I'm saying is because it's not built on the idea of economies evolving.
What's the problem?
The way that, to me, the way that you would fix it, and I spoke about this on the campaign again, but nobody cares about it because it's complexities. The way that you fix this issue is inspire more competition within the market that we're currently in, which I would have done if I was in term 8 years ago, like Nuremberg. How do you inspire competition? Well, you look at the most producing factors of our economy here. Who are the big players? All right, let's inspire competition within their industries.
So
Why?
USAA,
Yep.
HEB.
Yep. Who else?
Who else? The
Frostbank.
The military.
You can't compete with government. Any private institution,
Mhm.
you inspire competition within those economies. How do you inspire competition? Well, for one, you use the media channel as one, right? You inspire these.
Well,
these,
let's take HEB for example. That almost seems like a lost cause. Like how are you?
There's a monopoly there, right? They control a lot of the market when it comes to groceries. Groceries are unfortunate. People need groceries.
Not just the market itself, but they control a lot of the real estate where their potential competitors could come.
I think that's their business model. I think is real estate and then groceries, right? Like that's how it's built. I think. Don't quote me on that, but I believe
that's how
that's
McDonald's started.
Right.
But how do you compete with them then?
Well, you don't have much opportunity to do that when Albertsons went out of business. Walmart's the only other competition that is decent enough to push against that.
So
Sun Harvest changed to Sprouts. Sprouts is kind of a different channel, so it's hard to inspire within those markets. However, let's point out there are more things that pull our economy than HEB. HEB doesn't provide.
So this is where we differ on what we think the role of government is as it relates to the economy.
Local government.
Or to be honest, like any kind of government. I see the role of government as just give you some kind of baseline standard of living.
Well, okay, tell that to the Securities Exchange Commission. Whenever somebody says that we want to acquire a company.
No, I agree. Government has a regulatory role.
Yeah.
I'm not disputing that. But when it comes to interjecting in specific industries to create competition.
What do you mean by interjecting, though?
So, for example, let's say local government, for example. If you say that they need to promote competition with HEB.
If it's better for the people?
If it's better for the people.
Fiduciary duty is for the people, not companies.
I don't think the government, I don't think Eric Walsh, I don't think any council members are well-versed enough in this large scale of economics.
And that's the exact issue. The fact that we vote people in that are not well-versed, or we assign people that are not well-versed in that.
So that's where you kind of come to terms with what you think the government should do. So my coming to terms with
the government's a representative government.
It's a representative government of the people.
Right.
You're always going to get different people.
But the duty is for the people.
No, but I would tell you, and I hate to say this, we have a more representative government than we ever had. The people who are down there, now granted, some of their policies are, I don't think it's
talking about local, right?
Yeah, but I'm saying I do prefer this to the days of the good government league and the rich, wealthy 12 white guys that run the city hiding in the middle of nowhere, right? Where the decisions are made by the select few for the select few. I think we have a better government in that sense, that it's more people can get elected. Absolutely. Ron is not, I think this is where, you and I talked about this before you ran.
Yeah.
I think you're on a different plane as to what local governance really was and how you run and affect change in a municipality. And what the role of government really is. You were running to be the mayor of a hedge fund. So let me finish.
Yeah.
And that's why it's too out there. It's too smart. It's too much. It's a component of what could generate economic opportunity for the city. The role of a mayor, right? The role of a council member is to create the environment for people to go do the work. It's not to create the competition themselves. So how do you create environment at the city? You reduce tree restrictions and tree ordinances. The cost of a home shouldn't cost $35,000 before you even put one stick on it. Like we have overburdened our development code to where a builder has to, just to get the dirt, it's $35,000. I'm already screwed just to obtain this because of the laws of the number of trees, the parking, the lot sizes, the electrical, the permitting. Everything costs so much because government is not create. So the way we create the competition is by, we have tax abatements and these other tools we've utilized, but we also have to recognize that there's 80% of our cities a small business owned community. We're not about the USAAs and the HEBs. I'll be honest with you, screw them. They've got enough capital to compete themselves. And if they want to dominate and own the market like HEB has, more power to them. There's a reason why people love HEB. The best at what they do in their customer service, and they deliver the best product.
Yep.
They figured it out. They own it.
Yep.
But our job is not to sit there and create the competition. Right. Our job is to create the playing field that's level and fair.
I think HEB is a bad example. HEB does a lot for the community, which I totally applaud all day. But there are a lot.
That's not the point, though. Even if they didn't do anything for the community.
All right, so how do you feel about Mandami sticking his hands in the world of capitalism in the city of New York? What you're saying does not. It does. You just went.
What is he doing, though?
You tell me.
I don't think he's sticking his hand in the world of capitalism. What is he?
Is he?
Does he talking about the grocery stores?
He's the extreme of what I'm talking about. He's the extreme of the government's going to force the protection. And I think you have to at some point.
Right. But you
have to level the playing field.
Sakib was saying that it's not government's role to try to pull the levers to equate what is better for the people.
Oh, my Mondami's doing that.
But exactly.
So if I was Mondami, so of the things that I like about him and I agree with him on this particular thing is not one of them. But I will say, I don't think there's anything outside the norm of what a government can and should do when it comes to just feeding people. So instead of creating like grocery stores that compete, I think it'd just be better to just give the food.
You have a toolbox, though. That's
you know what I mean.
Like, it doesn't work.
Don't charge
Economics,
people.
it doesn't work.
But this is the role of government, right? And this is what Ron Nuremberg. We got back to the Ron Nuremberg point. Ron Nuremberg had look. He defeated me. This isn't personal. The guy. I don't think he defeated me fair and square in 2019. He didn't. It was a ridiculously divisive and ugly campaign. It had nothing to do with the actual ideas. So I do believe that, yeah, I'm upset about 2019. I always will be, but I'm not mad. I mean, when I look at him as a mayor, I can remove myself from that and say it's a highly unproductive 8 years. I think we're worse off than we ever were. We're more divided than we ever were. And I think these policies, and I used to say this all the time on the council and during the campaigns, it's leadership by slogan. Like, it's enough for us just to run out there and say, hey, ready to work. Like, no, nobody's working as a result of that. The housing bond, and the money's not going anywhere. The Paris Climate Accord, the first thing we came out the gate voting on, meant nothing. Resolutions for this and resolutions for that meant nothing. We lost major corporations left our city during his tenure. I mean, I think, and we didn't bounce back from COVID.
But those ideas felt beautiful, though, man.
But it's because we're building, and we haven't built a city that has the energy to go out and find the work. So there are ways from an economic development perspective to put yourself on the market, to your point.
100%.
Absolutely. Because what you want as a government, you want those businesses here, you want that competition so you can get their tax dollars so you can help more people.
Right, but
the point is to get them in here, not because I give a shit about competition.
Right. But you incentivize the current players of the market who have deteriorated the market for the past 50 years. So it doesn't work. So what do? You incentivize the competition to come in and then let the free market do it.
But there'll be nothing memorable come out of that 8 years, and it's unfortunate.
A lot of people
us.
would disagree with you.
What memorable thing did he do?
I don't believe it, but
I'm saying you. Do you know of anything memorable?
No.
That's going to leave a lasting impression.
I am not a fan of anything that he did.
It's next to impossible to defeat an incumbent in the city of San Antonio.
I think it was wizardry.
Yeah, and I think
he defeated an incumbent.
Yeah, I said it's next to impossible.
Right.
But he also defeated a Democrat that tried to become a Republican. So Ivy Taylor lost that campaign more than Ron Nuremberg won it in 2017 because Ivy was all over the map. Ivy defeated Leticia Van de Putte, the legendary Democrat, because she adopted Republican. She kind of played both sides, Ivy did. And ultimately that catches you as a politician. You can't play both sides for very long because once you get elected, you have to vote. So once you can win playing both sides. Back to what I said earlier, you run a campaign to win, and all of a sudden you got to govern, and then you're going to get screwed because the more votes you make, the fewer votes you get from the people. The more votes you make when you're elected at the council, you start separating yourself from people. So you vote for this, you're chipping away over here. That's why people get unelected over time. But what saves them is the power of the incumbency. People don't even want to, it's next to, they have all the money in the finances.
Right.
Ron is, Ron and I were friends before we ran, and I tried to start that campaign off, and when I ran in 17, got elected, but when I got down there, I realized, this place is a joke, man. Not that I have the answers, but I at least went into it with the thought of, there's two types of politicians. It's the one who believes they're elected to go downtown, and they're entrusted with the people's trust, and they're going to make the right decisions based on their upbringing and history and life. They're the voice. That it's their feeling, right? That's you chose me to make that decision for you. And then there's the other politician, which is me, which is I'm going to know the pulse of my community because I'm going to live in that thing, and I'm going to knock every door. I'm going to know what everyone wants, and I'm going to bring the heat guy. I'm going to bring the message for them.
Let me ask you something.
That's a stark difference between the two.
For sure.
In your time, how much would you say the work of a council member is ceremonial, and how much is it of it is actual hard policy?
In the current environment,
hard policy, 10%.
Okay.
Hard policy, yeah, that's all.
And ceremonial and goofing around and hanging out and being the master of the universe, at least 50%. This other shit's just you screwing around.
Do you think that it operates
stupid
that way?
Meetings and everything else
in high functioning cities that are?
I think it's that way everywhere.
Everywhere,
but it's on the politician, right? So I would go, I don't know if I, say this out loud, but I'm going to say it.
Uh-oh.
I was appalled by City Hall. It's like a fishbowl. It's a joke. That's not where you want to be if you're a leader. There were council members, most of them, who like to hang out down there and they think, oh man, I wish I had a Klondike bar. Here comes a Klondike bar. Man, I wish I had a Coke Zero. Here's a Coke Zero. Like everybody treats you like you're some sort of
royalty.
Manny Pelaez himself
He said it.
has said, we're the closest thing to San Antonio royalty.
Yeah.
Shut up, dude. You don't know. You're the problem. Like, really, you're the problem. Shut up. Because you're not San Antonio royalty.
State of
that
thinking
mentality.
Is what gets us.
He was making a joke, but he exposed.
He exposed.
I think he was making a commentary. And I'm
He
trying to
was.
remember
He was,
what,
but that truth came out.
But what was the subject that he was talking about?
I can't remember what it was, but his commentary.
Oh, it was about the money, the pay raise.
Yeah, the pay raise. But it exposes what he really believes of the position.
Yeah.
And it's not that.
It was so sad watching that. Whenever I saw it, I was like, why would you say that?
Why would you say that, man? But my point is that I would say to myself, I'm going to go down there because I have to be at these meetings. I would show up in shorts and a fishing shirt to the meetings. And they're like, bro, you can't wear that here. Who says I can't? I answer to none of you. Zero of you. The mayor. I answered to you. No, nothing. City manager, you can piss off. None of you I answer. I got to figure out ways to work with you so I can take care of my community. Absolutely. I got to find a way to partner with you on a few things. But at the end of the day, I'm bringing the heat for 157,000 people that I was tasked to represent. So I spent 90% of my time in the field, knocking doors, doing goofy shit, hanging out, block walking. I mean, I just kept campaigning the whole way through because I said, I have to know what these people want because then I'm going to bring the heat. And I did. And I was proud of it. I could have, when I went to run for re-election in 2019, before I decided to run for mayor, it was like February, the filing deadline was the 15th. It was February 13th. I had no challengers. Nobody announced against me. I was the only person that had no announcement. If I would have filed to rerun for District 6, I would have been unopposed. Because that's what the people are looking for in San Antonio. I can't speak to the rest of the country. I can speak to San Antonio.
Yep.
We gotta know who we are. You got to know where you come from. You got to know your streets and neighborhoods. You got to know everything from Silk Road to St. Mary's to Zarzamora to Hackberry. You got to know this community
and how to fix
what
they're
fix
dealing
this
with.
crap that's happening at their doorsteps. Right. And that's where the Spurs fell short. The Spurs fell short because they think they're trying to build a city we're not. I think they're not. Nobody who's a believer in the Spurs. You know what pisses me off the most? Even my best friends, that they're advocating for the Spurs, and in the same breath trashing San Antonio. Like we're not good enough without them. We suck without them. We're no better than this shithole in some other city in some other state. So we got to have this because if we don't have, it's like I got to buy the Porsche for my driveway because if I don't have it, people are gonna think I suck.
It's not just the Spurs though. It's any institution that participates in our economy here and that isn't pushing or doing enough to fix the issue.
The Spurs are at the top of that heap though because but it's self-imposed. I'm not hearing the Spurs saying San Antonio sucks. I'm not, to their credit. I'm hearing it from the people who are supporting them. Right. We're a hick town without them. We're Corpus Christi without them.
Not.
Bro, it's like, come on, man. Like, how can you say that? How you don't like us? That's the bottom line. You don't like us unless the Spurs are here. So I think it's exposed a lot of people. And don't get me wrong, there's just simply the money guys out there that they want to cut of that development piece. They know there's going to be real estate opportunities.
That's what it is.
I'm all for those guys. Hey, go for it, man. Make your buck. Because at the end of the day, we're going to get that tax dollars. But just to kind of wrap up this whole thing, right? Yes. Because we're near the end of this, why is government important? It's important because somebody has to think about those kids and those people who have little to nothing. And we have to work to bring these businesses to this development. And we have where liberals and Democrats have screwed up for years is that they alienated all that. They pissed on it. They said it was terrible and it sucked. When that's how we derive the revenue to pay for all the programs they want. So you can't have one without the other. You have to have the development, the business, and the growth and the economic opportunity so you can derive the taxation to save and help people.
Yeah. If not, we'll end up like Detroit, right?
Right. And that's the difference. The Democrat wants to fill that gap by giving it to the people, and the Republican wants to give the playing field so that everybody can pull themselves up by the bootstraps. But the problem is you got to have the boots. Like you can't,
the giving works if the capitalism is there. The giving doesn't work if the capitalism is there.
It works when people care.
Productivity is
there. It's not about the businesses being there. That's not the only reason it works. We have piss poor leadership, and it's never more clear now than when we're looking at this thing with the Spurs. This is decided a fault line in our city about what matters most. And what matters most is billionaires and sports owners and sports stars. You can't hide yourself from it now. You've exposed yourself, because if you've never said anything about the people who died, where's the bonds for this? How come these kids on the South Side don't have computers? How come the stray dogs and animals, people getting mauled? I mean, how come
Have you seen the lunch that's served at some of these schools?
Yeah, you don't get to, if
sad.
you ain't put forward the same level of energy, you don't get to say anything anymore, because you're in it for the big time. You're in it for the glitz and the glamour. I don't care. Look, I hope the Spurs stay. I don't want them to go.
I think we all hope that they stay.
We don't want them to leave, and it's okay to vote no. But what has gotten so ridiculous is that people personally attacking people because they're a no.
Yeah, it's nuts.
It's nuts. It's ridiculous. You're getting unfriended. This is what the Spurs have created, all in a drive that could have been fixed with simple patience if they just would have worked with Mayor Jones, given her time, let her do her study, get the season started.
But
they end up 20-1.
That, brother, because they lose.
You're exactly right.
They're going back to the shareholder.
You're exactly right.
Which rightfully they should.
By the way, that's an Austin-based organization. If you're fooling yourself, if you don't think the Spurs aren't going to be doing this shift towards Austin, you're fooling yourself.
Yeah.
They've been doing it for years. They got caught in secret emails doing it.
You got to follow the money, man.
They're going to go where the money is.
Got to follow the money.
And I think we at least should have taken the time. And the Spurs have damaged credibility. And there are people who no longer follow them. I'm one of them. I don't watch their games.
You don't watch?
No, I don't watch them anymore, man. I think what Greg Popovich and these people have done is abysmal. And I think that
coaching-wise or his politics?
His politics. I think when can you imagine?
Would you say that if he said Republican talking points?
Yeah, I think it's bullshit. I don't think he should be. How would Greg Popovich feel if I walked up to him and said, "Hey, man, I want to criticize you on your pick and roll plan"?
Well,
he'd tell me I was an idiot. You have no right to tell me how to run this
platform.
team.
He just wants to use his platform.
That's my point.
And that's okay. We all could rightfully use it.
He alienates a large portion of folks.
That's the
consequence. So that's where we're at with the Spurs, right? They are now in a position where they burned community trust, and it's a system of government. And now people are voting against him. Is it going to pass? If I have to wager, I think it passes because they got $4 million. Well, yeah, because I think they've dumped another $2 million in, and then I see the ads everywhere, and it's like, you know what? The uninformed who just go in with, let's see what this is all about. I think at the end of the day they're going to see enough, and the Spurs are going to overwhelm it with the money. I've always been though that it would probably end up passing. I just thought before I seen the influx of all this campaign material, like it's over the top. The Spurs are leveling every possible charge now. We're gonna voting for our arena is better public safety, better schools. Like they're now.
NEISD I think has an ad out there.
Yeah, they're now lying.
It'll defeat Greg Abbott.
yeah, defeat Greg Abbott. Like they're lying. And it's a campaign tactic. So again, the campaign with the consultants and the brilliant people who run campaigns are ruining government and destroying the Spurs' image. They're running a terrible campaign, and it's hurt them. And that's how most campaigns go, though. Hurts the image of the candidate.
Should we move forward?
So if this passes, so I always said I'm a soft no, not a hard no, right?
Yep.
If I was a hard no, then I'd be very upset if it passes, right?
Yep.
But I won't be upset. I'll just pivot and say, okay, now we need to make the best of what we have, right? But the reason why I'm still a soft no is because I don't like the secrecy. I don't like the fact that the public didn't have any input until it was all said and done. If it fails, then we have an opportunity to start over. And
that's what we need.
Do it right.
Then I will be pro Project Marvel, not sports district arena, the whole thing. Because then we'll have input. We'll get to talk about,
what's the time that we're at right there? An hour 30? Okay.
Yeah, I got to get going because I had a 12 o'clock I had to hop on.
You want to postpone everything?
Well, let me add one more thing, and it kind of ties into like government spending money for the private sector or to stimulate the private sector. The Silk Road District.
Yep.
Okay. So that's on the north side near the medical center. I-10 in Wurzbach to Wurzbach and Fredericksburg.
I honestly, I don't want to cut you off, but I think this merits a longer conversation. But I'm going to let you finish on this one.
So I'll talk about it, and
we'll
we can start it next week. Yeah. So that strip of Wurzbach has the highest density of Asian and Middle Eastern owned businesses, grocery stores, clothing stores, restaurants.
It seems like they open every week too.
Yeah,
You see
yeah.
new
I
stuff
mean, it's
getting built.
beautiful. So
Yeah.
that's where I live. I live right on Wurzbach. When I look at, I mean, I talked about this on the campaign a lot, and I was very happy to talk about it. Well, when you look at streets in downtown, like we have some very iconic streets in downtown that you just say the name and like when you say Commerce, East Commerce, like what East Commerce is. When we say like
Dolorosa,
De La Rosa, when we say Cesar Chavez, right? Like these are iconic streets in the
Sa
north.
Flores.
In the north side, we're
I'm just kidding, I'm
developing
kidding.
in the north side, we're developing that kind of reputation with some of our streets. Some of our streets are being known for good things. So Days of Allah, it's a known street. Clark High School is on Days of Allah. Babcock, Huebner, Prue, these streets that were
Shout out
just,
Cougars.
yeah. So Wurzbach, I think, is prime to become an iconic street, and it'll happen through this initiative, the Silk Road District. I'm interested to see how my council member presents this and advocates for it.
And this is why I wanted to save it, because it merits a conversation. I met a lot of people on the campaign trail that spoke against that development or that whole thing. But it merits a bigger conversation, and I don't want to cut you off, but I want to save it because I want to spend time on it.
Sure.
To be very frank, I love everything that has happened on Wurzbach. We've been shopping at Alibaba, my parents have, for like 15 years. If it's been longer, maybe.
I eat there 2-3 times a week now,
Yeah,
man.
I mean, I support 100% everything that is getting developed there. I think it's great. I think it's beautiful. I think everything that all the restaurants that have surrounded it, right? It's not just a market anymore. I could go eat and enjoy some legit halal. Like,
Yeah.
I'm about it, dude. But I want to have a deeper conversation on this.
Yeah, sure.
What do y'all want to finish off with? You got to run.
Yeah, I got a 12 o'clock.
Yeah.
I can hop on here, but
Right.
and then I got to hop in your bathroom too.
All right, man. Yeah. Let's finish.
But
Look, I appreciate you guys coming on as always. I think this is turning into a great routine. These conversations are insightful. They're fulfilling for me. I don't know if they are for you. Hopefully the listeners at home enjoy them as well. But that's what I want to finish off with. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. I'm having a good time.
yeah, we'll see what the cut looks like. Because I'm always, the thing I laugh about is like, I don't know what I just said for the last hour and a half, but it's all good. If you tell the truth, you don't have to remember what you said.
That's right. That's right.
Mess
Just
with
be
you. No, I
yourself.
appreciate the time, man. Just remember to always tell people it's okay to talk.
For sure.
Just keep talking, and then I talk my way to the answer out loud. So that's why people will wonder, well, why'd you end up over here? Because I talk it out. Like that's how I do. I don't sit in a corner and think about it and stew on it for 6 weeks. I will talk my way to resolution. So I may say things that are kind of counterintuitive in the conversation. But that's what I like about. I think we're kind of the same play, which is we're willing to move if the argument makes sense, but you got to be willing to say what you think. So that's what I'm thankful for, is that at least, we're throwing out ideas, and not that we're saying we agree with them or disagree with them. We're just saying that that's helping us form our conscience. And I think that's a good thing.
I do.
Yeah.
All righty, guys. We'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for tuning in.
Thank
See
you.
y'all next.